So the running backs and their involvement in Seth Daigie's new offense, how's that been working? What's the transition like, and how do you envision your guys being used in this system?
Well, a lot of versatility. Coach Daggy is a great play caller, a lot of energy. You got to be able to do it all. You need to be able to run, physical play, that red line effort, the 100-100 mentality, but also be able to catch as well as pass protect, which is something we emphasize anyway. My mantra, no block, no rock. So you got to be able to protect. We got one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So we take a lot of pride into protecting him and also being able to be versatile enough to catch the ball out of the backfield. So Coach Daggy is just really utilizing the skill sets of the young men that we have. And I'm very excited to have a room that fits what he wants to do. And his vision is, it's like right on, it's starting to click. This was practice 8. You can start seeing how the backs are starting to get adjusted, the tempo and all those things. So we're pretty excited.
In what ways has Kendrick improved as a running back since you've gotten him?
Well, I got him late in the summer. So once he came for a full year now, he's been able to change his body. He's he's all muscle now. He's like 212. He's running much better. He's healthy. He was very involved in the special team space last year. So now being that lead guy, he's very mature. Had a great off season with Cullen and his staff. They did a great job. And he's just the quiet leader, but I'm trying to get him to be a little more vocal because he has a lot of respect with his peers, with his teammates, and he knows the offense. He's very comfortable. He spends a lot of time with Noah Fafita. They're considered our leaders on the offensive side of the ball, along with Rhino and some of the other guys. But he has a lot of respect in the locker room, and people forget he's only a true junior. So he's only been here a year, and he hasn't even been a full year because I got him last June. So to see him buy into the off-season program and be able to get out front and be the leader that we need him to be, and being the only returner in that room is really important for me.
In terms of that note, you mentioned how you're trying to get him to be more vocal. Who right now would you say is the vocal guy of the group, or is that still kind of in development with the running back?
It's kind of in development, but I would say it is Cad. Cad, he has a great relationship with Izzy and Quincy. They get along very well. As you can see, those three are getting the majority of the snaps. They're doing a great job. We're working with Cornelius Warren, trying to get him up to speed, being a true freshman, fresh out of high school, just trying to teach him what it is to be a Arizona football, you be in this program. How do you adjust? And I think Kendrick is just taking that role of not just for the running back room, but for the whole team. He got a lot of respect. A lot of the peers, they look up to him. Him and Genesis Smith are really, really close friends. They did a lot of stuff in the offseason with Beyond Football with Brooke Blaine, and he's just somebody that you respect because he's not a real talker. So I'm trying to get him to get a slice of me. I like to talk, so I'm trying to push that on him. But he's a pleasure to coach. He's a great young man on and off the field, and he's a great representation of this university.
Ish and Quincy, what make them right for this offense?
Their playmaking ability. Ismail, if you've seen what he did at Texas State, he just get the ball in his hands. He can take the top off. He's a home run hitter. He also returns kicks. Can't wait to see that happen as well. Very versatile, strong for his size, real mature, has a lot of versatility. He's played in an offense similar to this, but this is a little different. So he's still getting the system down. You still haven't seen him at his full tilt because the verbiage is different and everything, but I'm excited to have him because he is a senior. He comes in very mature. He's very coachable. And Quincy, I have to give credit to Coach Bobby Wade and as well as Coach Daggy. They found him in the portal and brought it to my attention on Christmas break. Hey, Zoe, you got to watch this running back. And, Portland State kid, FCS, very good football player. Have a lot of respect for the players in the Big Sky. And I knew that running back coach personally, and when I asked him about him, he was like, yeah, Zoe, you're going to love him. He went to Mater Dei High School, so you start wondering, how did you end up there? And then he had some injuries prior, and then just to see him now be healthy and do what he do. He kind of reminds me of Kyrie Robertson, that I coached at San Jose State, similar body type, real versatile, real physical, but he also can catch the ball very well. So both of those guys bring some versatility to the room that we didn't have last year, and they're totally different from what Kendrick does.
Going back to Ismail, just what do you make of just his background and his journey, football journey, and how his parents, came to the U.S. and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, you can see it. I mean, he's a yes coach, no coach, yes sir, no sir type of young man. He's very mature. He's out here on his own, him and his fiance. Just having him around is important. Having been able to coach him, it was funny because his very, very first day, he was late to his academic, to his cats, and he kind of smiled and said, "Oh, coach, I didn't know my way around." And I gave him the stare, "Don't you ever be late. You time it. We get here earlier." "Yes, sir." And he got all A's. He's a 4.0 student right now. And he's just a pleasure to coach because he's going to give you everything that you ask for. His journey is real, but you can see the maturity in him just when he got here. And since he's been here, he's always one of the last ones to leave. And having him in the room with Kendrick and Quincy and all those guys, they do a lot of extra work outside of the normal hours. And having Coach Lyle Moival, which has been my assistant running back coach, he does a great job. They meet with him a lot. Having a quarterback coach now coaching with me in the running back room has paid major dividends for that room. So I got to make sure he gets his credit because he sees things from a different lens, and we're able to blend that together and get the most out of those young men. And who wouldn't love Izzy? He's just a great young man to be around.
With the change in the offense, the characteristics you look for in a running back, whether recruiting or guys you already have, does it stay consistent or does it change with offensive styles?
Well, I mean, Coach Daggy, when he got hired, when he interviewed for the job, I already had a list of guys once they went in the portal that I was interested in, and at the very top of that list was Ismail. So once he went in the portal and became officially for us to talk to him, we had to beat out some big schools. He had Arkansas and Oklahoma State. He had some real offers. So we felt he would fit the offense, and Coach Daggy knew about him, being from Texas. He kind of knew who the young man was, and he came in my board. When he first walked in and looked at my board, he said, "That's the guy," because I had him at the top of my board. So he was excited about having him, and like I said, Coach Daggy and Bobby Wade told me to watch the video of Quincy once he went in the portal, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, like this guy can fit because he's a jack of all trades. He has a lot of versatility that we don't have in the room, and he's different from the other guys." So I think it was important to find pieces that fit the offense because we knew what Ked was, but I think a lot of times people forget, even last year and the years before, in that running back room, we always second or third when it comes to receptions. You used to playing in an offense that throws the ball, but also yards per carry that Mary. I don't get caught up in attempts. I look at the touches. What do you do with the touches? And I feel like all of those young men, when the ball is in their hand, can affect the game, and they'll be great on special teams. All three of them, you'll see them on special teams as well.
Over the past few weeks in learning this new style of offense, who have you seen the most growth from?
Quincy Craig. I mean, if anybody was there first day of spring ball, you would have seen him. He had his worst day, and I just want to give him credit for responding for the first day. It was a lot of pressure. I think he was just too amped up, and I know he knows it because he gets on the board, he draws it up, he talks through it. I mean, we was real shocked that he went out there and just kind of laid an egg on the first day. And from practice 2 to now, you just see him getting better and better and better. You seen him doing some stuff without pads, and then once we got full padded and started doing live periods and third periods, you seen the aggression. We have this mantra, FVP, fast, violent, and physical. That's our room. That's what we live by that. And then you mix the red line component with that. That's who we are as a room. That's who we are as a program. We going back to that, another things, when you have an issue, you own it and fix it. Well, he had issues that first day. He owned it. He fixed it. And now you're seeing that in him every day in practice. Regardless of the situation, I can put him in short yardage, whether in empty sets, whatever we need to do. He's versatile enough to fit the offense. And that's the luxury of having those three young men. They're all different body types, but they can play in any situation.
So Cornelius Warren, what can you say about his recruitment? How did that start? What do you think about adding him to the mix? And what's kind of the plan for him and Wesley for this year?
They're young, man. I don't even like talking about them. They're great to have. It shows our commitment to the state of Texas. I mean, you got a highly recruited young man from North Crowley High School, 6A state champions. He was committed to UNLV, and he signed there. And then once he went in the, they released him. He was one of the first guys that I reached out to because we felt he would bring that versatility as well. If you watch his film, and it's dynamic. He did it in all the big games. He's another person that you can play in the backfield, you can play in the slot, you can play him in so many different ways. And he graduated early. If not, he would have been running track in high school. I told him, man, run track, go to your senior ball, do all that stuff. No, coach, I want to come early. So I was like, all right, now this is grown men. It's grown man stuff, you sure? And he was like, yeah, very confident young man. He got to obviously get his body up to par, but having him here early helps. And then, he talks to Wesley a lot. Wesley played football, basketball, and he's running track right now. So we expected him to come in the summer, and he'll have Cornelius. He likes to be called Cornelius. I like when I call him Cornelius Warren III. He'll be able to help Wesley with that adjustment when he gets here, because I pretty much put Cad and Ismail, they like his mentors. I give each young player I call a big brother, and Izzy is responsible for Cornelius. So they love him. As you've seen him today, he got a couple of snaps. You'll see him get more and more snaps as the spring comes because he needs to learn the offense. And it was full padded today, and he ran a couple of runs in there, and you'll see him doing more. But I'm excited about having him because it just shows the commitment to the recruitment piece. We had to out-recruit some schools to get him, and we have, I think, 20-plus players signed in the state of Texas. And if you're recruiting well in Texas now in the Big 12, I think that's very relevant. So having him opens the door for us to be able to get more players, especially out of the Dallas area and the Houston area when we got Wesley.
And then what do you think of Ja'Cory Crossy-Merritt's offseason and how he's been able to improve his draft stock?
I'm just so proud of him. I talked to the NFL team this morning on his behalf. I talked to one yesterday on his behalf. We've been texting each other, just trying to get him to see the vision during the season, even though he wasn't able to play, but kind of hammering him on the process, making him get on the board, be able to, write up plays and be able to do mock interviews and just kind of prepping him for what that process was going to be. I can remember clear as day, he called me from one of his bowl practices on FaceTime, and he was just excited how he met with two scouts and was able to get up and talk ball because the talent was there. Everybody knew about the talent, but just fine-tuning them skills and making sure that he was properly developed for that next level. I think whoever drafts that young man is going to be pleasantly surprised and happy. He's legit. What he's doing doesn't surprise us. He told me he was going to run 4.3, so that little 4.41. I get to tease him a little bit, but he said, Coach, 4.3. And I told him, he ain't going to run no 4.3, maybe 4.4. So I'm just excited to see him do what he's doing. Him and Kweli, their process is going to be what it is. Two different paths, but they keep in contact with me. I talked to both of them. But Ja'Cory, I'm just happy for him and his family, and I'm excited to see what NFL team takes a chance on getting a steal in the draft because he's an NFL football player.
Say what Cornelius kind of touched upon in terms of this time being important for freshmen. How important is it to be able to work in that weight room with Coach over there?
Oh, yeah. Well, Cullen Carroll and his staff, man, they do a great job. If you look at the bodies, if you just look at my room, just looking at Quincy and even Ismail and Cad. If you look at Cad's body from last year to this year, it's night and day. He looks real good. Let me say, man, I want to get this to his dad, Kendrick Risino. I got it right now. He's changed his body, and he's done a fabulous job of just buying in to the culture of the team. The red line mentality, always doing extra work, always bringing other people with him, being a leader on and off the football field. Just Cornelius is now stepping into that. He's stepping into that space, and I think it's going to be important for him. He's with our nutritionist, he's with our weight training program, so it's going to play dividends in the long run because he has what I call positive peer pressure every day. He's walking into that room, looking at them guys every day, and they helping him with adjusting and making sure that he's doing the right things and putting the right things in his body to prepare to play college football in the Big 12.
I know he's working his way back, but Mike Mitchell, just what he brings to the group.
I mean, he's a talent, man, but just his athleticism is different, from the other guys. So what he does is he's physical, he's fast, he's a 10-700 guy, so he brings a whole different component to the game. He's still learning as well, but excited to have him as well. I'm just excited about the whole group. I try not to really single out individuals, but as you can see when they practice, I coach them all the same. I coach them hard. Y'all been around me now for a whole year. I'm going to be myself. I try to, have peaks and valleys myself, but I try to make sure that as much as I put into them, if I'm correcting them, I make sure I put that strong arm around them and give them the love because, we are teachers. That's our first objective when you're coaching. You're a teacher. You're a father figure. You're a mentor. Those are things that you want these young men to be. You want them to be great young men on and off the football field. So the biggest thing for my group is to be the model. I want them to be the standard for the whole team, not just the offense, but for the whole football team, and represent this university every day on and off the football field. Thank you.